Here we are. Here we are. Well, this is our second session already. And wonderful to be here again, Deb, and wonderful to have you.
So it is wonderful. I think we're wonderful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's great.
And it's amazing how this just came about, and we just stumbled onto each other more or less through LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
I don't know how that goes on LinkedIn, but anyway, we found each other and
You
we
know what?
connected.
Yeah, there was something friendly in our energetic exchange on LinkedIn, and it was just from there. Make it easy. Straightforward messaging leads to an eventual coming together. It- One of the things about LinkedIn, in terms of resilience, which is what our whole show is about, is resilience. There are people who are out there, they're sending the same text message to everybody through the message on LinkedIn. And you could tell they just want to sell, they just want to sell, they just want to sell, they just
Yeah,
want to hi, can we chat? Hi, can we and, like about what? What do you want to do? And
yeah.
somehow ours was unique and different. And I thought, that you know what? Let's just do it. Let's just say yes and make it happen. Let's just go. And I don't know
Hmm.
who approached who, but it doesn't matter. It's a good thing if
No,
we forget.
absolutely. And it's great to be here now because I think we add to each other, and that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Okay,
Okay,
so
let's have a chat about how difficult it is to change your learned behavior.
yeah,
And the silly thing about that is it's connected, I think, to our metabolism, the system of our brain. Our brain helps us create really, because as soon as you are doing something which your brain is great, you get dopamine, you get serotonin, and you get rewarded. So the silly thing is, if you're, for instance, if you're, I used to be a smoker in the past, long past,
ah,
and I knew when I had my first cigarette in the morning, or my first smoke in the morning, I got this rush, and you're starting to depend on it, and your body is getting used to that.
well, that was the nicotine too.
Absolutely, yeah, because what it does, it just shuts
Yeah.
down your veins and stuff like that. And I had sort of a similar experience because years later I ran my first marathon. And to prepare for that, and I didn't drink any coffee the week before that, just to retain fluids in my body. Because if it's one thing about marathons, it's demanding.
Right,
It will deplete you of all your bodily fluids, if it
right,
can.
right. And then coffee dehydrates you. A lot of people don't know that. Oh,
Yeah,
but it's got water in it. Yeah, but it's got coffee in it, so it dehydrates
absolutely.
you.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
so I stopped drinking coffee, and I got a headache.
Ah,
Every morning I had a headache that week
yeah,
when I wasn't drinking coffee.
yeah.
So
Eat kids.
you get punished by your brain because you're losing your habit of drinking coffee because I drink a lot of coffee still. But the silly thing is that you are being punished if you don't adhere to the usual routine, which is amazing. And even
Well,
when it's a bad habit, because coffee
yeah,
drinking isn't a great habit really, but it's a bad, and smoking certainly is a bad habit, as is drinking and stuff or other stuff like that. So it's so silly that our, and it's also proof that our body is not always, our brain mainly, is not always giving the right signals.
okay, well, hang on a second. Let's play with this. But
Okay.
you hit a wonderfully hot topic. So here's the thing. You're interpreting it as a punishment, but in reality, well, let's just say in another perspective, take a different, because I can't say that I know reality. Okay, wait, hang on, for everybody in the world, I know reality, the truth. It's all about attitude. It's all about perspective. But but in the midst of that, as you're interpreting it that it's a punishment, what if you say, "Oh, thank you for the headache. It's actually my saving grace."
Yeah, it
What
is absolutely.
what a great reminder that I need to not do this. So then you celebrate with another glass of water or a meditation or something, because your body is looking for that that constriction. And what's happening without the caffeine is your vessels are open, they're not constricting, and you've got more blood rushing into your brain and to your body. So it's like, wow, thanks, I got a lot of volume in there now. And when people do that, they can actually walk through what feels like discomfort, reinterpret it, and not have it hurt anymore.
And that's so important though that we learn to do that because not all these automatic signals
Yeah.
are what they are, what we think they are,
Yes.
because it's also very conditioned by our upbringing, our
That's right.
social reality. Let's go that way,
Yeah.
which is defining, oh, this is bad and this is good,
Right.
and so yeah, it's as silly as even with colors, black is bad and white is good, which is
Yeah.
just a judgment.
Yeah. Right. It's just an interpretation.
Yeah.
I have another analogy for you. When women are birthing babies,
Hmm.
some of the women are in there and they're screaming horribly, I hurt so much, knock me out, give me an epidural, this is horrible. As opposed to being trained in advance that as it hurts and as you feel the contractions, don't talk
Hmm.
about it as hurt, as you feel the contractions, it's your signal to push. And you'll have your team there telling you to push. Now, what if we didn't have any feelings at all? That was all deadened. Well, then you would just go, well, okay, so, like you could just take the baby anytime now. Okay, but we would like for you to push unless you want a cesarean. So the pairing of the thought with the anticipation of what's going to happen, and then the behavior that gets engaged in order to make it all coherent is actually brilliant,
Yeah, it
right?
is. It is.
But we need guides to help us, because, like, if you had tried to do that conversation by yourself, it would have been really tough, right? How
Mhm.
did you get through the week of headaches?
I just endured it. I said, okay, this is what happens when you drink when you don't drink coffee when you're used to it, and okay, I better drink some water. And so yeah, that's what happened.
And what did you do right after the race? Have a big cup of coffee?
Yes, I did. Not immediately
Yeah,
after
yeah,
it,
it's
but
so funny.
later, yeah, as a reward.
A
uh,
47-ounce cup of coffee. I'll go to bed.
yeah,
And that's
absolutely, yeah,
hilarious. That is so funny.
yeah, it is absolutely, yeah.
Well, the other thing that's really interesting, and a number of people have talked about this. Dr. Bruce Lipton has talked about this, the doctor of the biology of behavior. Dr. Joe Dispenza's talked about this, and their research leads us down this path. Research, which I absolutely adore, by the way, because it's so credible. It's really, truly good methodology, and they're
Mm,
doing the right things with, the setup of the design, the interpretation, the statistical analysis. And when you are doing things that are unhealthy and unproductive, and like getting stressed, and you're releasing cortisol into your body,
hmm.
you're doing all kinds of things to destruct your body, as opposed to construct a better body.
Yeah,
And yet, even though it's adding, fat to the belly and other things that it does, your body is saying, okay, well, this is how it goes. And your mind is saying, okay, well, then we'll go there. So that mind body connection is still alive. And that's why trying to change a habit, or like we say, break a habit, I like to say, change the habit.
hmm.
You need to be prepared that on a neurotransmitter level, on a physiological release into your bloodstream because of what your head is doing level.
Yeah,
It's important to understand your brain doesn't know if it's positive or negative. Your brain just knows, okay, well, here's where we're going, re-release this. Here's where we're going, re-release this. And so the whole idea of grounding, meditating, relaxing, praying, and I always put those terms together because people talk about meditation, and so often it's like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Hmm.
I think I'm meditating. How do you know if you're meditating? Well, let's do something different and we can measure it. Those practices are so essential because without them, we're out here flying around in the dark, right? Sort of
Yeah,
blind and not knowing what to do. So the idea of changing a habit, like your coffee habit, you were able to do it within that week. Of course, you gave yourself the time frame.
yeah,
So you set a boundary on it and you had an interpretation of it because you were going for the gold. You were going for that marathon. By the way, how long of a marathon was it?
42 kilometers.
How many
So,
miles is that?
that's about 30 miles, 30, 32 miles, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, it's
Oh,
horrible.
dear gosh.
It's horrible. I done
Whoa!
two that year. I done two that
Wow,
year.
that's amazing.
And then I got ill.
Ay, 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 ay. Oh my gosh. Why were you too depleted? Did you deplete yourself, wear
Yeah, I
yourself
depleted
out?
myself after the second one. And I was just stupid way of doing it. But yeah, that was me at that time.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I I
the
ran the I,
ambitious
yeah,
were
I ran the
reckless.
marathon. We got the money for a child in India who could get a proper upbringing. So that was the goal,
Oh,
and
really?
so it was amazing. Yeah, it was amazing. We were so happy to achieve that. And then my colleague who also ran said, "Well, we did Rotterdam. Now let's do Amsterdam." And I wasn't prepared for that. He was running. He was an ultra runner, as you call it. This doing this long distances all the time. And actually, I'm too heavily built for a runner, really.
Yeah, yeah,
Most
yeah,
of the
yeah.
time, runners are these sleek persons with
Yeah, yeah.
very well meager
So
sometimes.
was it social pressure that you sort of
Yeah, I
walked
gave in.
into
I
it?
gave into it. Yeah, absolutely. I certainly did.
Yeah.
That's many years ago already.
I bet it is many years ago and
Yeah.
never forgettable.
No, no, and it was an amazing experience, absolutely, and I wouldn't have missed it in the world.
So tell me the story of resilience. You went and did the this is a great setup.
Yeah,
So you did the first run and the training of that was not easy. The
no,
training is never easy, right?
no, it's for four
But you
months at least. Yeah,
there you go. So you did it, you ran it, and then what was your experience to be resilient, to come back from that first marathon? What was it that you did
it was
to
amazing. It was amazing to have achieved that
yeah,
because it's a really long distance, and
it is.
and after about what is it about 20 miles, you hit the wall as they call it, and all your
Yeah,
glucose is out of your body. You don't have any left, so you start burning fat.
yeah,
There's nothing else left. So your body starts doing that. And that's the hardest part, really. You have to cross that wall. You have to
yeah,
cross that phase where your body is screaming for glucose, which isn't there anymore because you use it up altogether. And then you have to carry on another. It's about 6, 7 miles or so to finish it off. And I did it, and I was very proud of myself. I did it because I'd never run a distance like that before, and as a child, I wasn't very keen on running. It was for me, it was just to prove myself I could do this.
what was your thought process that I mean, resilience in the midst of the run. I was thinking about resilience after, but really you've got to be resilient during the whole silly run.
Yeah, it's a process. It's funny because it starts in the morning, and I'll never forget the beginning because the evening before I did a last training run. And it was that night, it was quite cool. It was about 10 degrees Celsius, which is, I don't know what it's in Fahrenheit. But the next morning, it was, we started the run at, I think, 23 degrees. So that's about double temperature from the evening before. So I started running and I was already, because I had informed myself quite well, I was wary because I knew I could run into a heat burnout. Because when your temperature is changing rapidly, your body doesn't always, well, it's capable of dealing with that. And what
Yeah.
happens then is that you overheat and then you can't get rid of the heat. And you might just drop down and all your energy is depleted and you can't go any further. And the great thing is, I felt it coming. I felt that it was coming. And I said, okay, now I need to slow down. I need to slow down, otherwise, I won't finish this run.
Oh, good, good. So that was
So,
resilience.
yeah, that was resilience too,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
And so I slowed down, took my time, and gave myself the time to adapt to the higher temperature. And that was my saving, really, because then I got, well, up and running again, as I would call it.
Beautiful. That's
and
beautiful.
and slowly I could, but I've had those moments as, oh my God, I'm going to stop, this is way too far and I'm not going to do this, because I had never run that distance before. The
Yeah.
largest distance I ran before that was about 20 miles or so, and this is 30 miles, so it's a lot more.
You know,
And
I'm thinking that some of the people who are watching this are thinking, what do you mean that that's resilience? Well, what I mean when I say that your awareness was resilience, I want to capture this point because I think it's really essential for people. Resilience is when, not when the thing is gone, not when
no,
the event is over, although that's a part of it. But resilience occurs when you're right in the middle of it and
absolutely.
you want to stop, you want it to stop, you want it, just make it go away, make me go away, anything. But there's a part of you, there's a core of you that is what I call your inner strength.
Yeah,
And it is always there for you. It's always available. And I make fists and pound my sternum and say, right here is where it is, because there's this connecting point between your brain and your heart going down to your gut. And when we are in coherence with ourselves in those three areas, we're pulling it together. So you were really pulling it together as you're saying, "Oh, I can't do it. I'm so hot." And your resilience was, "I'm not giving up. I'm slowing down because I'm a survivor. I can do this. I'm a thriver. Gonna run." Right?
yeah, it was amazing. It's amazing how that works, and I was convinced I was going to finish it because I already ran the longer distances during my training, so that
Ah,
shouldn't be a problem. I should be
yeah,
able to do it. So I was convinced I could finish this,
I love
and
that.
that's so important though, that you have that conviction, because then you have a something extra.
Yeah,
And what is so important also is resilience is, we have to learn to sit with those unpleasant situations. If you just sit with them and don't pay too much attention to them, they just will just evaporate. They will just
right.
go up in thin air. They will disappear.
Yeah,
We have, I think, somewhere between 50 and 125,000 thoughts per day.
yeah,
You can wait for the next thought.
yeah.
You can wait for the next thought. It is amazing. I don't know how they measure that, and but
Yeah, I think it's a little goofy, but it doesn't matter. We know we have many.
we have too many thoughts. And
And if,
and and the funny thing is, once you learn not to pay too much attention to your non-helping thoughts, which you can identify by just the feeling they don't feel okay. It does feel icky, something like that. It just doesn't feel good. And if you should just learn yourself to ignore them, you get an additional 30 to 70% of the thinking capacity. Isn't that worth anything?
well, here's the trick. Um, when you get what's icky, and I like it that we're very highbrow on this show.
Hmm.
you know. And we're using technical language, but we think everybody gets it. So yes, icky is an incredibly descriptive term because we've all had icky.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
here's the trick. You take these fingers and you run them behind your ears. And so what you do is you take these and you run them behind your ears from the base.
Yeah,
You can feel right there where there's that space
yeah,
between the back of your jaw and the beginning of your skull. There, your mastoid is in there.
yeah.
Rub that a little bit and then go up and over and up and over and down. And guess what you're doing? You're activating the vagus nerve, the longest nerve in the body. And as you're doing that, as you're
I can feel
relaxing the
it in my
vagus
back.
nerve,
Yeah.
you are also you're relaxing so that your diaphragm drops because when we're uptight and stiff, everything tightens up. When our diaphragm drops because we're more relaxed by activating that vagus nerve, our lungs have greater capacity. You can take a deeper breath. You
Yeah,
start taking
absolutely.
a deep breath, and good luck maintaining stress and anxiety and fear. So, I dare to say, as you exhibited for yourself your skillfulness to tap into your inner strength and to say, yes, I can do this. What you over there with the no, you can't. Yes, I can. Oh, yes, I can. And then you're activating in another way the neurotransmitters that you need to in order to get your body back into gear so that you can take a deep breath and really keep running. Because if you're going to
Hmm.
run well, you got to breathe it all the way in, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's important.
But isn't that brilliant? I mean, this is really helping people understand some of the details of resilience. It's not just a theme, it's a real physical way of being, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's so important because the funny thing is, what happens is that your whole body process increase or improves. And the
Yes.
funny thing is, I feel fitter than I felt 10 years ago now. I'm next week I'm turning 67.
You
And
said you feel sicker?
no, fitter,
Oh,
fitter,
fitter. I was going to
fitter,
say sicker.
no,
Well,
fitter.
now we're on the wrong channel.
Absolutely. I wasn't
Uh-oh.
trying to say that. No, the funny thing is, I feel so much fitter than I felt 10 years ago. Once you let stress in and let stress rule your life, you
Right.
get all these tiny little icky things in your body,
Yes.
like some what's it called on your skin, irritation on your skin, or
Oh,
sudden
like hives or a rash or
infections
something
in,
like that?
yeah, a rash or something like that,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
an infection on your nails, something like that. Now I just wash it clean with soap, properly, so with soap, no
Yeah.
medication needed. Clean it up, make sure and it's gone in two
Yeah.
days. And in the past, I needed some medicine to get rid of it. I don't need it anymore.
But you know what? This is a really important point. I'm glad that you're bringing that story up. I was thinking about this, how powerful the mind-body connection is. I mean, I think about it every day. It's the
Hmm.
core of my focus. Um, with my wonderful dog, Hazel, my 65-pound doodle, who, my gosh, at 4 years old, she's a young 4-year-old. She is so athletic. If she sees something that catches her attention, and I've always got her on lead unless we're in a fenced area,
Hmm.
um, she takes off in a nanosecond. And this happened the other day. And the way I had her lead around my hand, leather,
Yeah.
and it ripped through here
Oh.
and on my finger. You can see a little bit
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
You can see it's actually a little bit whiter here on my finger
Yeah.
because I've had this bandaged up. But this was totally raw. The
Oh my
skin
God.
literally came off. But listen to this. This is only 3 days old.
Yeah. And
So
wonderful.
what I did was, I think this is kind of funny. It hurt. mean, it really
Yeah.
hurt. I had to yank her back, get her in the car and sit in the car. And I thought to myself, it's bleeding. I need to do something. What am I going to do about this? Well, being the good Catholic that I am, I've always got holy water with me because you never know. So I took
Well,
the holy
well,
water out.
congratulations on your Pope.
Oh, thank you so much. And he's also from my home city, Chicago. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
well,
And so uh, and a gentle soul, I think he is.
I think so too. Yeah, feels
Sprinkled the
good.
holy water on me, sprinkled the holy water on Hazel, and then I had some in my hand, and I patted it, and then I made a sign of the cross, and I said a prayer, and I said, okay, I know that this is very superficial, and this is a gift from you to remind me that things happen in a nanosecond. Be aware, be grounded, be here now. And if you allow that thought to penetrate you, and then you will heal quickly. So what I did was I had a couple of band-aids in the car. So I had a dinosaur band-aid on my finger here
Wonderful. I love it.
for a day, and then changed it the next day. And I thought to myself, my goodness, this is healing up really fast. And I always have aloe vera juice. I drink aloe vera juice every day. That's part of my resilience program ongoing, is to be fortifying all the tissues in my body from point of entry to point of exit. And it's a cellular healer, so it's a great resilience tool. So I put that a cold, damp, wet white washcloth
Hmm.
with aloe vera juice on it, on top of it, an ice pack on top of that, and just sat for a while in the evening. And today, that's all that's left. No band-aid needed, no harm, no anything,
It's
no
amazing.
itch,
It's
stab,
wonderful.
no
Yeah,
discomfort. But here's what I know. If I would have freaked out about that, if I would have been unhinged, I would have released other neurotransmitters into my body that would have kept me stressed, that would have tightened my vascular system, that would
absolutely.
not have allowed the blood flow to go to the extremities, and I wouldn't have healed as quickly. So every time we don't dial in to the resilience, that inner strength that we have, we're we're harming ourselves. We're not allowing the natural healing that is a part of who we
Yeah,
are,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So I want to know, switching back over to you, how did you heal from that first marathon? How did you come back from that? Because that was huge. Did you sleep for 3 days?
I slept for the drive home because it was in the western part of the Netherlands, and Netherlands is small. You can drive across it in 2 hours, 2.5 hours,
Oh, okay.
so
Yeah.
it's really small. But we drove home, and I already felt better when I was home.
Oh, good.
And the next day I took it in an easy day, and took some time for myself. And it was a Sunday, so it was a resting day, as we call it. Um,
So you have a nice, loving home atmosphere, don't you?
I do, yeah. I have a
Yes.
wonderful wife, and we
Yeah,
have been
there you
together
go.
for over 40 years now. So
Yeah,
that's yes,
I love that.
yeah. It's amazing how that goes. And the great thing about this understanding, once you get aware of everything,
Yes.
and even from your relationship. So what happens to me now, the last 7 years or so, I'm now 7 years into this understanding that my relationship is still improving, even the last 7 years, and we've been together for almost 40 years, and I'm still learning, and we are still well, establishing our relationship, and it's amazing that that happens. I'm
Isn't that
very grateful,
beautiful?
very
Yeah.
grateful for that.
I can see the two of you driving home and she's watching you. She's driving. She's watching you. You're sleeping. She's thinking, he made it. I'm glad he's here. He's safe. And then there's a groove. There's a dance that two people do where, yeah, if as long as they keep dancing and moving with each other, it is that
Yeah,
ongoing maneuver through life and being resilient in your marriage.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's everywhere, really.
Yeah.
I had this client once who was suffering from spontaneous hallucinations. And the cause of that was that he had been using DMT in the past. DMT is the active component of ayahuasca tea from South
Yeah.
America.
Mm,
And the sad thing about that stuff is it'll change you physically.
yeah. Not a fan.
I'm not a fan either. But the problem is what he had is when he was driving his car, he saw all kinds of stuff flying at him while he was driving the car, and
Oh,
he got really upset about that. He was thinking, I'm going mad. So he went to psychological clinic 2 or 3 times, and he couldn't get out. And in the end, he was desperate and said he came to me for some reason. He said, "Can you help me?" I think I think I can, but we'll need time because this is a mental habit which is built into you, and you have to unbuild it, which will not be easy because your brain thinks you need this. That's what's going on. Your brain
wise
thinks,
words. Yep,
yeah,
that's right.
and so in the end, I talked to him. I explained how this works and how we create that reality, how we create our experience all the time in full stereo, 3D, audio, physical smell, the whole thing, which you can't see in a cinema. But it's your reality, and it's the only one you've got, so you have to believe it. That's how it works for us. The problem is you don't. You must be stay vigilant and stay see is this really what there is? So at one stage, I said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to drive in your car. You're going to drive. And as soon as you see something flying at you, ask me and point to it where it is. If I see it too, will you accept from me that it isn't there? Yeah, well, you're quite okay, guy. So I think I can believe you. He said he
Yeah.
wasn't convinced, completely convinced, but he said, okay, let's try this. So we did that, and we actually he saw all kinds of stuff flying at him while he was driving, and said, I can't see it. Sorry, it's not there. It's just an image which is created by your brain, but it's not there. And we are creating this all the time. What we are seeing, we are creating it all the
And
time.
was he driving at the time or were you
And
driving?
he was driving at the time because that was the test. I wanted to test him and try to convince him that it wasn't really there.
Mm-hmm.
And it took us three efforts driving, but in the end, he started to believe that he was just creating this. Once you start to understand, oh, I'm creating this myself, I don't have to do this, then the habit is gone.
That was very courageous of you.
Well, yeah, we didn't drive fast. I made sure of that. And I was scared too, yeah, of course.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I don't.
did he understand? I'm glad that this came up because I have people who want to incorporate me into their programs to do that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And they're always a little upset with me because they're very disappointed that I'm not all excited about doing mind altering things. And what I say is, no, I do mind altering things by teaching people how to be in control of their mind, not about putting substances into their
No,
body
no, I don't.
that take it away. I mean, there are people who, have taken all kind of mushrooms and hallucinogenics, and they don't believe that people don't come back sometimes, but people don't come back sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true.
Yeah.
And it's horrible.
Yeah, it is horrible. It just gets too tangled in there.
Yeah.
So it took him a long time to be able to trust himself
Well,
again, didn't it?
yeah, absolutely. But now he's one of the most renowned tattoo artists here in the region. He's booked full for the next 2 years.
Really.
He's doing amazing work. Very dark, but very well. It's beautiful. I think it's beautiful. It's very detailed, And I'm not a tattoo specialist. I'm not I don't have any tattoos. But I think I can admire his work. Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So, so you got through your recovery. Did it take you longer than just that Sunday? Did it take you a while to get back into the groove of your life? Did you need to do things, or had you gone through
Well, I was
such a
tired. Yeah, I
transition?
was physically tired, and it took me two or
Yeah.
three days to recover, and then it was okay again. And then I
And were you
slowly
stronger
start.
because you went through all that? I can't do it. I'm hot. Did it have a lasting effect on you in
Yeah,
terms of being
absolutely,
able to
absolutely.
accomplish it?
It convinced me that I can do anything if I just put my mind to it.
Yeah, that's what I was wanting you to say. Thank you for
Yeah.
cooperating.
But that's true. But the great thing, and then what resulted from that is now
Yeah,
I don't fear any challenges anymore. I just start with it. Just start
yeah,
with it and see where we get. The great
yeah.
thing now, man, if you fail, you never start from zero again. You never start from zero again. You always have learned something. So
Right.
the next time you try this effort you're trying to achieve, you'll be better at it because you've
That's
already learned
brilliant.
something. You've
I
already learned
have
something.
never heard that and I've never thought that, but that's absolutely true. You never start from zero.
Yeah. And it's so important that you really realize that because you're always getting better. There is no failing. There is no failing. I'm not there yet. That's it. Failing doesn't exist.
So, how did you then, what was it that took place in you and how much longer was it before you did the second marathon?
I did it 6 months after that. Yeah, it was
Oh
6 months.
my gosh.
Yeah, two in a year. That's too much. That's way too much. Don't do that unless you train very, very hard.
Wow.
But yeah, I did the first one in what was it? Somewhere in spring, I think in May, and the next one was 6 months after that. So it's November, something somewhere there.
Was it better because it wasn't so
It was
warm?
better because it was so hot. That was
Yeah.
better. But I was less well trained when I was run that one. So I had a much harder run. I finished it, but
So what was the conversation with you that time?
um, that I said to myself, yeah, I finished it, but I shouldn't have done this.
Was it something along the lines of, oh my gosh, why in the world am I doing this?
Yeah, yeah, a little bit like that, yeah. But
Yeah.
on the other hand, I said I'm going to finish whatever happens, and I did. I got both the medals still somewhere. I don't know where. I didn't
Yeah.
where they are now. But I I was glad it was over. And then yeah, in February or March that year, I got ill. I got shingles in my
Oh
face.
no.
Yeah, that was a clear indication that something was really wrong.
It was a clear indication of complete depletion.
Yeah, absolutely.
And your body just was, we are only a host for any infection or anything like that if we are not tip
Yeah,
top. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Wow.
So it's so important, and it's also well the same story. My mother-in-law isn't her health is not so good. She's 87, turning 87 this year. She's 20 years
Okay.
older than I am. And I saw her deteriorate last year quite
Oh,
quickly because she didn't move. She stopped moving.
why?
I don't know.
Is she
She had
sad
all
about
kinds of
something?
well, her husband had died several years
Well,
ago. Yeah,
there you go.
yeah. And but at some stage she stopped moving and she didn't well, you don't re-energize your body that way. You have to
That's
just
right.
keep on moving, and that's what we said to each other, my wife and I. We have to keep moving on long late, and we're happy we have a dog as well as you have, and it's great because it forces me to have at least two walks a day. My wife does the other two, and we get some movement. And I lost 10K,
Yeah.
10 kilos, but as a result of the walking dog. It's amazing.
You know, it's sad what happens as people age and lose their mate. I'm not surprised. That's why I asked her, was she sad about something? Because when you stop moving, it's an indication that you can't see your life going forward.
Mm,
That's the mind-body connection,
yeah,
you know? And literally your legs will get tight and uncomfortable if you do try to move. The other reality is that a lot of older people are afraid when they get older. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna fall down, break my hip, and I'm gonna get pneumonia.
yeah,
Now, why are those things connected? Well, the fear of falling is the lack of confidence that people feel after they feel that tottering a little bit and they don't have someone who they think is there beside them to help shore them up. When you get that break and then you have to lay and recover, the mind starts thinking, I'm never getting out of here. I'm not resilient. I'm not strong enough. I'm too old. This is the end. And then in that depression, it's very interesting. The neurotransmitters that are released into the body, the way that the body works, the circulatory system, everything. People settle the pain and the anguish in their chest
yeah,
because grief literally takes their breath away. Then the pneumonia, they're an open, receptive entity for it to land. And it's so sad because if we get people back into happiness and surround them with love and everything that they need, other than that special person, we can change their prognosis. But so often it is just not.
yeah. Can imagine. Yeah, I see. I'm seeing that happening right now, and she's slowly deteriorating. Now she's also got some quite a serious situation with
She's got
Alzheimer.
what?
Alzheimer. She's got Alzheimer, and
Okay, so she's got some form of a dementia.
yeah, dementia. It's Alzheimer and vascular dementia, both of them.
And what
Uh,
is the second thing that you said?
vascular dementia.
Okay,
Vasculary.
okay, yeah,
I'm
okay.
not. I'm not familiar with that in English. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's okay. What it means is that there's not an adequate supply of blood and oxygen into the brain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
They made a CT scan of her head, and they saw some damage there done
yeah.
by that. So that's not
Well,
good.
let's keep a good thought for her that in her limited capacity, she has beautiful thoughts that are in there.
Yeah,
Resilience is sometimes getting ready to move through, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Yikes. Well, I'm sorry to hear that story. How's your wife?
Well, she's distraught with it. I'm trying to support her as good as I can, but it's sad because it's as if you are losing a dear one while they're not dead.
Yeah.
So she's in mourning, and yeah, sometimes it's difficult. Yeah.
So here's a few things to consider, not knowing
Hmm.
anything more than just that, but basing on my experience of you. Your wife has a wonderful, compassionate, playful component to her.
Absolutely.
So if what she does is she can stand back and say, even if this wonderful woman doesn't know exactly who I am and what everything has been, does she still know who she is? She does.
Hmm.
Does her mother knows who she is?
Yeah, she does. She does.
Okay.
She still
Then
does.
bring things in that have nothing to do with the reality of anything,
Mm.
whether it's flowers or it's a stuffed animal or it's a food or a treat of something, and just get her to engage in something that is teeny tiny focus and that they share joy
Hmm.
in peace in that. That'll help both of them immeasurably.
Yeah,
And it'll be a way for your wife to have a coping skill that will be resilience.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What she's doing now, she's arranging a lot of stuff around her which is a lot of quite a lot of work to arrange.
What
And
do you mean arranging stuff around
well,
her?
she's food, which
Oh,
she's getting
taking
meals.
care of her
Okay,
activities of daily living.
yeah, absolutely. So it's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff she's doing there. Um, but what saddens her is that the relationship has changed.
Bit the what?
The relationship has changed with her mother, and that's saddening. Makes her sad.
So let's focus on helping you help her to see in that change. Think about the ways in which your mother has taught you to be such a loving care provider.
Hmm.
I, as your husband, know what a great loving care provider you are for me at any moment. And so you've got all these skills. And this is your opportunity at this point in your life to extend them all to your mom. And then if she can get a feeling of confidence and pride in that, sad as it is, she can get some peace of mind and peace of heart.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good advice.
Well, we need to leave this on a loving note because this hour has flown by like wildfire,
Already,
hasn't it?
yeah.
Jeez, Lou. I love this. So we're coming back next Tuesday, next week at the same time, same station,
Absolutely.
and we'll talk about more. And I want to talk next time, especially about how is your wife doing? Are the things that we're talking about? We can thread her through our show and demonstrate to people what works and what doesn't work. I'd
Absolutely.
also like to talk about the research of Susan Kobasa,
Okay.
a psychologist who came up with a notion called the hardiness factor.
Okay.
And I'll tell you a funny story about her next week and present what her theoretical model is, and everybody will love it.
Okay, wonderful. That's great. Looking
Okay?
forward to that.
I am too. This has been a lot of fun today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Deb. It was wonderful.
Okay, so signing out. This is Dr. Deb Carlin, and
Sweet meeting. Bye bye.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Peace out, everybody.
Bye bye.